ain't taking those from nobody.
Your superstars have off games.
Follow us on social media at Celtics Talk Weekly.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome in to Celtics Postgame Live. I am your host, Rob Tan. I'm with my co-host, Ian Angelo. And the Boston Celtics drop Game 2 of the NBA Finals 107-88 following a Golden State Warriors complete masterclass of a third quarter, really of a second half, as the Warriors reign in a 35-14 third quarter win as the Celtics head back to Boston, tied at one a game apiece. Not too much to be mad about, Ian, tonight. Although we didn't have a great game. You could understand a loss, but it kind of feels like a loss like this was unneeded. You didn't really need to have a loss like this. Guys look tired. What were your kind of initial thoughts and takeaways from this Game 2 loss that kind of was a great game to win, but it was kind of a game as Celtics fans, you kind of knew the Warriors were going to respond?
Yeah, I mean, I knew the Celtics weren't actually going to win this game today. It just felt like no one wanted to be there. Yeah, they played terrible in this game, but it was almost kind of expected because the Celtics can't. We've kind of seen that the Celtics can't put two consecutive good games in a row. So, yeah, that was kind of tough. You know, like it would have been fine if they lost, but they could have at least made it close. You know, like they didn't need to get blown out like that in the game, but I mean, what are you going to do? There's really nothing to say about that game except they just didn't want to be there.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, Seamus just in. Seamus, I'm going to get to you in a second. Now, here's a little stat for you guys. Only 3 teams ever in NBA history have stolen both games 1 and 2 on the road in the NBA Finals. 3. This is the 75th year. So that's just shows you how difficult it was going to be for the Boston Celtics to walk into the Chase Center and take not 1 but 2 games. So, you know, for sure, you can't be too mad about this loss, right, Seamus?
First of all, sorry for being late here. I'm obviously mobile, but the Celtics in this game, I mean, the third quarter, at the end of the third quarter, that was an absolute collapse. And from that point on, pretty much Ime Udoka waved the white flag for most of the fourth quarter, 11 of the 12 minutes in the fourth quarter, going with most of the bench. But the Celtics, there were too many mistakes in this game by the Celtics that either recurred from game 1 or they just couldn't handle, in which they, you know, in game 1 they did better at, say, points off of turnovers. Points off of turnovers was a huge factor in why the Celtics won game 1. And tonight, the Warriors, it was heavily lopsided towards the Warriors tonight. 7 turnovers for the Celtics coming out of the gates. That is not going to get it done in the NBA Finals. The fouling tonight, you know, the officiating in this game was just rough to watch if you're a Golden State fan, if you're a Boston fan, but that certainly did not help the Celtics whatsoever in this game. Rebounding at times yet again was problematic for the Celtics in this game, and their shot making throughout the game, they're not getting, you know, Tatum, he had an efficient stretch in this game, but when they needed him most to start the game and both in the third quarter, he didn't show up. And ultimately, the fact that the Celtics, Tatum has been atrocious in this series thus far outside of really 2 quarters, and the fact that they're shooting straight up just not at the level as it was the other night. They were trying to make things up all at once on a possession. They would try to, of course, drive the lane, make it up on their own, whether it was Smart, Tatum, Brown, all of those guys. It was just too hectic at times tonight. And I expect moving forward this team to be better. We all know they respond very, very well after losses. And plus, now they're going back home. After that third quarter, they didn't play at all. They got some rest. They played 2 really, really physical series with Miami and Milwaukee. And, of course, both of those went 7. So this was a nice little rest game, although you would have liked it to be in favor of the Celtics instead of them being on the other end of a blowout. But going into game 3, this is a new series. It's best of 5, basically 0-0 again. Celtics did not play their best game, and they have a lot to improve on after tonight.
Yeah, it kind of felt like after the first quarter, it was like, or after the halftime, I looked at the score and I was like, we're only down 2. It kind of feels like we should be down by 15 or 20 points. I kind of knew this game was going to go either one of two directions: a Warriors blowout in the second half or a Celtics blowout in the second half. Like I said, I just did not expect a team of the Warriors' pedigree to fold in a game 2 at home. You don't see that. You don't see the home team drop 2 consecutive games at their place, especially to start the series off. However, I think as the Celtics, you got to look at this first 2 games as a whole and take a very big positive from it. You went into game 1 and you took care of business. However, I'm looking at the box score here. Obviously, Derek White contributed very well off the bench. Didn't shoot the best. He was getting into the lane, just really couldn't finish it. I think that showed fatigue. He was getting there. He was getting the shot, but it was just coming up short. But I'm looking at guys who played phenomenal in game 1. Guys like Al Horford, who had 2 points, 1 of 4 shooting. Marcus Smart, 2 points, 1 of 6 shooting. Minus 15 for Horford, minus 12 for Smart. Jaylen Brown starts the game, 13 first quarter points, finishes with 17 on the game. So, I do think there's some fatigue starting to set in. Robert Williams only playing 14 minutes. That I think as Celtics fans, you're going to want to keep caution to. Especially Smart's ankle, and how Rob knees have been this postseason run. So I'm looking at guys like White, Williams, and Pritchard, and Horford. Horford's been pretty healthy. He just had a rough game. You gotta; those guys are gonna have to step up because yes, Tatum did not play well by means today. Minus 36 plus minus. It kind of felt like he was just going through the motions to this game. But Smart 5 turnovers. It was the turnovers. We just kept shooting ourselves in the foot, guys, and you can't have that. I don't think come game 3, right, Ian? These turnovers.
Yeah, and I mean we've seen the Celtics in this playoff run. When they're not turning the ball over, they look like an amazing basketball team. But when they are turning the ball over and they're careless with the ball and they just play sloppy offensively. The Celtics don't win games that way. You can't turn the ball over 20 times in a game and expect to win the game. That's just not how it works. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they have to go back and look how they played, first of all, in the fourth quarter of game 1 and how they limited their turnovers in the Miami series, because once they limited their turnovers in the Miami series, they were able to win games. And, yes, the Celtics can limit their turnovers and, they can get more contributions because you kind of want more contributions from Horford and Smart and all of them.
Yeah.
So, you need more from them, but you got to stop turning the ball over. It's been a problem this entire series, this entire playoffs. You just got to stop turning it over.
Yeah. Something I will say is, I think Golden State's a good team, collective defense, but I don't look at the guys. This Golden State lineup, all right, Steph Curry, 6'3", Klay Thompson, 6'7", Wiggins. These guys aren't necessarily long, athletic guys. I just think they play a good collective team defense. So I think there's an excuse for turning the ball much against this Warriors team. If you slow down, if you go through the motions, if you run your sets correctly and not lazy, the Celtics should not have any troubles at all against this Warriors defense. Just because, like I said, I look at them and Poole's not a great defender. They have no Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, and obviously Draymond can do his thing. But like I said, they're not long and athletic. They just are in the right spots. So with the Celtics, you have to slow the game down, make the right cuts, don't force anything, right? The Warriors are going to be in the right spot. So you have to kind of think one step ahead of this Warriors defense, because they're not the most athletic, but they definitely are one of the smartest defenses in the league, right, Seamus?
Yeah, no doubt. The Warriors, I mean, you just look at why, you kind of explain it there. You look at why they're such a good defensive team is because they are a highly intelligent defensive team. And tonight, the Celtics, I mean, you cannot win the way the Celtics played tonight offensively at all. They didn't, I mean, let's see. First of all, the Celtics had 24 assists tonight, so that's down from 33 assists in game one. And I felt as if most of the game, the Celtics, they were not running their offense. It was a lot of Tatum. It was a lot of Brown and a lot of isolation, a lot of, hey, we need to get back in this game right now. In the moments in which propelled themselves forward is when they moved the ball and found those open shots. They made that extra swing pass and got other guys involved. To see someone like Al Horford have 4 shots tonight, to see Marcus Smart, we want to see him shoot a little bit less, say, but 6 shots tonight after, of course, hitting 18 points the other night. And then you go on the bench, Derek White, 4 of 13. That is rough tonight. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, both of those guys, like I already mentioned, did not have good shooting nights. All of these guys, they just did not get the shots they wanted or the shots that they should have wanted, because ultimately when you see the Celtics succeed, it's when they're taking wide open shots. And tonight the Warriors, they were able to create more of those shots, and they were able to hit the tough shots the Celtics weren't able to hit. Some of those shots at the end of the third, you just have to tip your cap to the Warriors and say, that's just a great shot. Jordan Poole from midcourt, pretty much. That's not really a shot that you expect to go in. Jordan Poole, again, from midcourt to end the quarter, another shot you don't expect to go in. But the last offensive possession for the Celtics can control as a team. The Celtics can control. Derek White, he dribbled the ball for 14 seconds at the top of the key, towards the top of the key, took a long three, and that was it. That's the offensive possession you want to end the third quarter with after that Warriors barrage. I mean, it's stuff like that. The Celtics turning the ball over, not creating offense for themselves, not getting others involved, and just making it tougher on themselves throughout the night. Those were all the things that the Celtics just failed at tonight, along with just I felt, sorry, there's a bug who just flew near me. But at times tonight, the Celtics, they were just way too hectic. They tried to hit a home run on plays in which it's, hey, slow it down, be patient, move the ball, and get yourself a good shot, instead of Tatum or Brown going towards the rim, going nowhere. Other guys, they're not even in their positions in the perimeter. And it's just at times it just wasn't organized for the Celtics tonight. I wonder if that's part of just, them coming in thinking they already won a game in Golden State and this was kind of house money at this point. But you're ultimately in the finals. You want to win every single game, and to come into this game and just with the lack of focus at times. And also, they played to the Draymond Green antics a little bit too much throughout this game. You can't let that get under your skin. And for them to lose focus the way they did tonight, let that get under their skin, and then them just top it all off with the fact that they were just discombobulated offensively the whole night. Of course, we only see they only had 88 points at the end of the night. This was just a bad Celtics performance on the road in game 2.
Yeah, guys, is game 3 a must-win for the Celtics?
Oh, for sure. I think you have to respond in game 3.
I mean, you already grabbed one at Golden State, and they have not lost a playoff game this entire playoff run at home. And so you grabbed game 1, and we think, looking at that game, the Celtics were down 12 going into the fourth quarter. A lot of people think the Celtics stole that game. So we really have not had, you'd think of outside of that fourth quarter the other night, and maybe parts of the first and second quarter in that game, the Celtics have not really had too great of a run in San Francisco. So to go back to Boston and let them steal a game and then put yourself in a position in which you need to win another one on the road, it's better for the Celtics to just protect home court at that point. So I would think against this Warriors team, game 3, not a must win because it's not an elimination game, of course, but just going forward, if they lose that game, it's going to be very, very tough for them to rebound in this series, especially after how game 2 went after they won game 1 in the fashion they did.
Yeah, I think I have to disagree. I think it's a must-win game. You cannot afford to go down 2-1 to the Warriors because, granted, they played with no confidence tonight, it looked like. And if they lose at home in game 3, it's not going to make them feel any better. So I think they have to win game 3. I think they have to respond. If you lose on like a buzzer beater, I guess that's fine. But you do not want to go down 2-1 in this series. I feel like this team can't afford it. I really don't. I think they need to win Game 3.
So I agree with you, Ian, on that. I think this Game 3 is a must-win game, but for a different reason. I don't necessarily think the Celtics have been down 2-1 for 2 straight series now, right? I don't think that's that isn't a mountain or a hurdle we can jump or climb, right? I think, obviously you got Game 4 back at home. You tie this thing up, going back to Golden State. It's a best of 3. In that's that. But I don't think this team can afford to play a Game 7 in Golden State. They're not experienced enough. I don't think they are well equipped enough in a winner takes all on the road against a team that's been to the NBA Finals 6 times. Stephen Curry, Draymond, Steve Kerr, right? These guys have been there. So if I'm the Celtics, you got to look at, all right, listen, yeah, Game 2 sucks. Yeah, we might have stolen Game 1, but it's 1-1. You got 3. You win 3 games 3 times in Boston, and you're the NBA champions. You cannot afford to lose at home. You lose one at home, and you're most likely going back to Golden State, to the Chase Center, to play a Game 7 in Golden State. That is if you can rebound well, and you can take Game 4, and that is if you got to think about that is if you could beat them in an elimination game in Game 6, because that is, I would assume, we win Game 4, they win 5, we win 6. That's how you expect it to go. So I do think it's a must-win game, because I don't think you can afford to drop a game in Boston, especially seeing how experienced this Warriors team is compared to the Celtics. But I also think if they do lose, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think they can bounce back. I think they can. This team's been through a lot, and I don't think a Game 2 loss or a Game 3 loss is gonna bury them. I think you're gonna have to shoot them times in the chest, lock them up, dig a 10-foot hole, and drown the hole full of everything you got to take this team away. And I still like our odds, even if you do that. So I don't think this Celtics team's worried right now. I'm sure as hell not worried right now. And the vibes, isn't that's what the boy says. That's what GRD says. The vibes. We ain't. Well, he says a little bit more, but we're trying to keep this family friendly. We ain't worried yet. And I think the Celtics are going to respond for Game 3. It's kind of great because both teams haven't lost a game prior to a loss. Lost 2 straight this postseason. So if that's the case, then the C's are winning this because we took the first one. So you figure you just keep responding. Keep responding.
If the Celtics just keep responding the rest of the way, they'll win the series.
It's supposed to be
exactly.
Like winning the 7.
There you go. Celtics in 7.
Am I lagging?
Yeah, a little bit.
But man, I don't know. Like you look at tonight's loss, and to me, okay, the Celtics were beaten outright tonight, and this is really so. You're looking at the playoffs here. We have the Brooklyn series. We didn't lose a game there. Milwaukee, I would say we outright lost Game 1 in that series. The other 2 games we lost. We blew Game 5. We kind of blew Game 3. I thought we played terribly throughout that game, but we kind of blew it at the end. We could have won that game. And then Miami, we blew that Game 1 in the third quarter. And then, let's see, Game 3, outright got outplayed part of it, and then we kind of blew it at the end with no Jimmy Butler, Tatum, Smart. They all came back from injury. Very dramatic event, obviously. And then Game 6, no Tyler Hero. You kind of get outplayed outright in that game. But this is really the first game in which the Celtics, you could say throughout the game, they really were outplayed significantly by a team. And also, though, in this game, this kind of fits the narrative of the Celtics. They got outplayed, but at the same time, I thought a lot of their mistakes, again, came from themselves shooting themselves in the foot. How many times has this happened throughout the postseason where the Celtics, if they don't turn the ball over 18 times, if they don't give up 10 threes to Steph Curry and Jordan Poole while playing drop coverage, if they don't, play isolation on some of these offensive possessions, just pass the ball a couple more times, get themselves a couple of more assists on the board, maybe they have a chance in this game. Of course, the Warriors, they made some tough shots, and they played really, really well tonight. But you're just looking down the list, And it feels to me as if the Celtics, they really shot themselves in the foot offensively tonight. And the Warriors, they were really, really good offensively. But you still look at some of their numbers, and it's like some of the other guys were beating us tonight. Gary Payton, Otto Porter, of course, Jordan Poole, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson did not have a good shooting night. Draymond Green, he was 2 of 3. Andrew Wiggins, not good shooting night. So to me, it's like the Celtics, they still have control in this series because they won game 1. And ultimately, looking at the first 2 games, complete collapse there at the end of the third quarter. But you look at the first 2 games, a lot of positives to take away, especially considering this was the job. You wanted to at least split on the road. You didn't want to go back to Boston down 2-0. So they split on the road. And in this game, they did a lot of things that they did not do well at all. But they're all things in which the Celtics can improve on moving forward. And I felt as if it was more of the Celtics just not doing some of the things that have made them dominant throughout the second half of the season, rather than the Warriors throwing out this, extravagant game plan and going out there and actually beating the team.
Yeah, I agree. Something I think Boston's going to have to work on, though, is Draymond Green's antics. I do think Draymond got a little bit under their skin. I think the Celtics team has a tendency to when things aren't going their way with the whistle, to complain, to get checked out, to kind of flail their arms and say screw you mentality. You're not going to give me the call. I'm not going to try. I don't think that's acceptable. And I think Draymond is absolutely egging these guys on. You're playing into his hand if you let that get under your skin. But, this team's resilient. Draymond knocks him down. They're going to get right back up, and they're going to get back in his face. But yeah, Seamus, you make a great point. All of these problems are fixable entering game 3. I wouldn't consider this the Warriors just outplaying the Celtics tonight. I mean, they did, but I think this is just the Celtics just shooting themselves time and time again, and the Warriors capitalizing on the Celtics' mistakes throughout 48 minutes. I don't think the Celtics walked in here and got ran through. I just think the Celtics ran through themselves, quite frankly. So yeah, but not a lot to like we've talked about this all playoffs. Games 1 and 2 don't really tell you a lot about a series. It's really games 3, 4, and 5 that are going to direct you to where this thing goes. I mean, last year we saw the Suns go up 2-0 against Milwaukee, and then Milwaukee, next thing you know, took that thing in 4 straight. So the series is just getting started. Best of 5 winner is crowned the NBA champion. We will have you covered here live post game 3 after the final buzzer. Justin will be hosting that. I will be at the Garden for game 3. Super hyped for that. Should be a fun one. But guys, final thoughts, comments. How we feeling? 1-1 back to Beantown. I like our chances.
Yeah, this was kind of expected. I'm hoping that they show up in game 3 because I'm not really inspired with the way that they played in game 2. I mean, obviously, there's really not much to be inspired about. But even in game 1, I don't know. I want to see Jason Tatum turn up. Like, yeah, he had 28 points today, but they weren't very good. He played really bad outside of that. So, I don't know. I want to see him have a complete game in game 3. That's what I want to see.
It has to be Tatum and Brown moving forward. We saw in game 1, the others were able to step up, but it cannot be the others every single game. It cannot be Derek White. It cannot be Marcus Smart. It cannot be Al Horford every single game. You saw all of those guys. Marcus Smart, 1 of 6. Derek White, 4 of 13. Al Horford, 1 of 4. It cannot every single night. These other guys, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum specifically, these stars have to get going. They have to find their groove. And right now, it really feels like, or at least it felt like at the beginning of this game too, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they knew they didn't have too great of a game 1, specifically Jason Tatum in his 3 of 17 line. In game 2, they came out forcing everything. They need to, number 1, get guys involved, but they also need to know when to attack. That is part of becoming a star and a star in the NBA, is knowing when you pick and choose your spots, right? Knowing when to pick and choose your spots in the league. And ultimately, Brown and Tatum at times they've been too passive. At times they've been way too aggressive, and they need to learn how to balance that out. And on most nights, when the Celtics win, they do a good job of that. It's 1 and 2. Not really. And this is the NBA Finals. This is the biggest stage. These guys, this is where their legacy is on the line. This is not some regular season game against the Sacramento Kings. We're coming on here trashing on them or praising them after the game. This is the NBA Finals. This is the biggest in basketball in the world. And they ultimately, to me, star players need to step up moving forward. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
I'm interested to see how they respond in game 3. Because yes, they have responded after every loss. However, after every loss this postseason, they've been down in the series. Boston's 1-1 right now. I wouldn't necessarily. I don't know how Boston's feeling. You got to think every other series they've lost. They down 1-0, down 2-1, down 3-2. They have been down in this best of 7 series. Right now we're tied. And like Ian, I know Seamus has a different opinion, but Ian and I were saying this is a must-win game. I want to see the Celtics come out here and play a complete 48 minutes because I don't think we've seen that yet. Game 1, great first half, I thought. Third quarter, kind of the same story tonight, but fourth quarter, an absolute barrage of 3-pointers and just a defensive display of how good this team could be. I want to see that throughout the 48 minutes. I want to see us get not a wire-to-wire win, but I just need to see us close out a game. I need to see us come out of the half on firing. That's just what I need to see to have the confidence to say this team can do it against a team with of this caliber like Golden State. Because, like I said, we haven't responded with a tied series yet. We haven't won a game 1 in almost a month now, or it's been a month. So, go out there. In God, play your damn heart out because you are 3 wins away from the NBA Finals. So yeah, like I said, we will have you post-game covered right here after the final buzzer for Game 3. That is Wednesday. It's going to be a late one. Tip off at 9, usually 9:15. That means final buzzer right around 11:30, 12. We will keep you guys updated on our stories, our social medias. Everything go do that. And we will see you Wednesday night.